Support for this episode of Tape Don't Lie is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who have trusted Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TDL at manscaped.com. That's TDL at manscaped.com.
All right, guys, we are back. It is Tape Don't Lie, your favorite Raiders podcast, favorite Raiders show, favorite Raiders film channel. Wherever you guys see us, make sure you guys follow us, download, subscribe. So I added that to it. Make sure you guys download too. We need them downloads as well. So make sure you download, share this episode, share this podcast, right? And also, like I said, share the YouTube as well. Keep checking us out on the channel. We got just a breakdown of BD doing everything from the last preseason game, everything defense. All right, so go ahead and check that out. It's about an hour long. So you went through almost every single play. So it's a great breakdown by BD. So make sure you go check that out and make sure you hit the subscribe button. Like I said, go ahead, BD.
When I logged back into work, they were like, where have you been? So it went a lot longer than I anticipated, honestly. And it felt like it took 15 minutes, honestly, because I just love watching football. But so yeah, check that out. We got a little breakdown there for the defense. You know, make sure you also keep on supporting Tape Don't Lie Gear Shop. We're having multiple people still. I keep on getting notifications that people are still buying the gear. So we appreciate everyone who has bought some shirts. I think it's over 40 purchases so far. And then the other way that you could also support this channel as well is using the TDL promo code at Manscaped. You see, I got the little shirt on right now, right?
Yeah.
The Manscaped shirt. So I'm repping Manscaped right now. Use the TDL promo code at Manscaped. We need 8 total this month. And then, you know, maybe we get a deal with Manscaped and we can, you know, keep this podcast rolling. So try to support the channel any way you can if you appreciate this content. So right now what we got going on is a 53-man roster reaction, right? That's what we're doing today.
Yes.
You know, third preseason game, it was all threes. Like, we're not gonna like dive super deep into this. I'm not gonna create a whole bunch of cut ups for this tape or, you know, like of the third stringers. So it's a welcome change up that we can talk about the 53-man roster, even though it's not as big a deal as people make it. And we'll talk about why a little later on, you know, but it's a welcome change up for us. And it only happens once a year. 53-man rosters, you know, get, you know, announced. So it's almost like a holiday. So we're going to talk about it. So Marcus, you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and start off at quarterback, right? We got Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota, and the survivor, Nathan Peterman. Nathan Peterman makes the team. So they're keeping 3 quarterbacks again. This is every year they basically have kept 3 quarterbacks. I can't remember maybe from 2018, but I know in 2019, 2020, and now 2021, they have kept 3 quarterbacks. I mean, we didn't see Carr or Mariota during preseason, right? All we saw was Nathan Peterman. Nathan Peterman was out there playing. He started off really hot when he played with some better wide receivers, but as the preseason kept going along, so did his play start to drop. His play dropped every single game. He kind of got worse and worse. I mean, this last game was harder to watch. It wasn't very, you know, exciting to watch either, to watch him play and watch him play quarterback. He's missing a lot of throws. So, I mean, I'm happy Mariota's still here. You know, I do think it's a little interesting. I mean, maybe Mariota might move somewhere. I think he still is an option to be like a shock trade or something like that. Maybe to get just for, you know, anything can happen in this next 2 weeks. I mean, there's 2 weeks of no NFL here. I feel like it's about to be a crazy season, right? And I know I'm not predicting that, guys. Don't put that out there or something, but I'm just saying, It's something that he's there. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback, and we know how Gruden feels about Nathan Peterman. He let him play the whole preseason, so the quarterback
Didn't
situation. I
even
mean,
give
a chance,
Case
bro.
Cookus a chance. Man, having a guy named Cookus, okay, on the roster, that'd have been cool. Here's what I'm interested to see.
Yeah.
You got COVID, the pandemic. I don't know. I haven't like kept myself like real up to date with all like the rules about like quarantining if you get it and stuff like that. I'd be interested to see if they just lock Nathan Peterman away in a room or a hotel for the entire season as like, an emergency player if the quarterback room gets COVID, like what happened with Denver last year, where they had to put a backup, practice team wide receiver in at quarterback because everyone in their quarterback room got COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if the rules would necessitate something like that from happening if players are vaccinated now. I don't know, but I'd be interested to see if that's maybe like one of the options there for Nate Peterman.
Yeah, man. I'll be terrified Nate Peterman played. So I don't know.
It doesn't matter either way, right?
Yeah. Like, let's just say, I mean, even if he ended up being the backup, or like Carr got hurt and then maybe Mariota got hurt or something crazy like that happened, he had to play. I mean, you definitely need somebody. Like, they need to, I don't know what they need to do.
Got to do something.
Do it quickly, like call Jacoby Brissett. Give you Dolphins, you want to take a fifth, give you Jacoby over here or something. I feel more comfortable with somebody like him that could play backup quarterback. But Nathan Peterman, you got Marcus Mariota there. I still think Mariota is a good backup quarterback. If Carr went down for a couple of games, I really feel like that he could come in and suffice long enough, right?
Yeah.
And
Mariota is number 2. Peterman played all preseason for a reason. So
yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely. I think Marcus Mariota definitely could come in and win a couple games and then cause a playoff, QB controversy to everybody because, they won a couple games. But I mean, that's what he is. I mean, but if he played the whole season, it might be a little different in my opinion. But a couple of games, I think Mariota can come out there. He can do the job and get it done for sure. And then, Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr is a starter. I ranked him 12th in the NFL. I think he's just a good quarterback at this point. Could he become very good this year and take that next step into like the top 10 and be like a official top 10? Because I mean, he does have top 10 stats. And last year, I would say he had a little bit of, he did have a little bit of top 10 play. I wouldn't say there's like, if you actually put it out there, was it 10 quarterbacks that played better than him last year? I wouldn't say so, but I would say that he's probably, but I would still rank him 12 just because, his history is always taken into account. So with him, I feel like, can he take that next step and just become more consistent, right? Play out. That's what it is. He just has to become more consistent. If he can become more consistent, especially week to week too, and not have some of those dud weeks if you have, he can definitely solidify himself as a top 10 quarterback this year. And I think he's a veteran and he understands that offense. He's anticipating better. He just got to keep taking those steps, bro, in this offense. And I think that he could play well.
I'm with you on all that.
Yeah.
I defer to you for any of the quarterback stuff anyways. Let's jump to wide receivers. Can you read off the wide receivers who made the final 52?
Wide receivers. We got Bryan Edwards, Zay Jones, Hunter Renfrow, Henry Ruggs, Willie Snead. So we only have 5 wide receivers this year instead of 6. Which is interesting.
That's interesting. Turn of events.
That is very interesting. There. Yeah. All right. What do you think about that? With them keeping 5 wide receivers, do you think that has something to do with defense?
I don't know. Honestly, I think that the most logical solution here would be that when it goes into effect, okay, like when the final 53 goes into effect. They're going to put some people on IR. They're going to move some people around.
Yeah.
So maybe bringing up one of these practice teamers or, finding a guy who got cut from another team and adding them later, because teams don't go, no team goes into the season with only 5 wide receivers on the roster. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's a pretty slim number.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be willing to bet a move is going to happen at some point. But obviously the elephant in the room is John Brown getting cut.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it, so I looked at John Brown and Willie Snead. Okay, I don't know if I said it on the channel. I don't know if I tweeted it. I've definitely talked about it a couple times. I knew one of those guys was going to get cut because Edwards, Ruggs, Renfro, you got young wide receivers who they've invested in. They want these guys to get playing time. You know, you don't have room for veterans to be like all the way down the depth chart when your fifth wide receiver has to play special teams. You know, you have to have some kind of role. And John Brown is like a 30-year-old. He's not playing special teams, you know. So and I don't know which one of these guys will be. I don't know if that's maybe the job going to be the job of the sixth wide receiver who gets picked up to be a special teams player. But yeah, like when I saw the two veterans in a young receiver group that they want to feature Edwards, they want to feature Ruggs. I knew one of those guys was going to get cut. I think people were leaning towards Snead, but I think the kind of like the emergence of Zay Jones in camp, they go, okay, Zay Jones, that's an option for us. We don't need John Brown anymore. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the reason that they're going with 5 is I think he's kind of telling us something with where the targets are going, right? I think we're going to see a lot of 12 personnel this year. We're going to see a lot more 12, right? Because Foster Moreau, he's the emerging player. So he's the emerging guy that's going to come and take some of those targets away from, where Nelson Aguilar is missing from. So those targets from Nelson Aguilar are missing, right? So since he's out of the picture, who's going to take up those targets? So it seems like right now with them keeping only 5 wide receivers, that it's only going to be probably Foster Moreau, Henry Ruggs, maybe mixing some Edwards in there. So I think Foster Moreau is going to see a lot of playing time. They're going to kind of be like how the Eagles were the last couple of years, and even when they went to the Super Bowl, when they're playing a lot of Dallas Goedert and they're playing Zach Ertz, right, and they're doing a lot of that 12 personnel stuff, especially if you have those tight ends and they're athletic, and you can get some of those matchups playing 12 personnel, because teams, when you go into 12 personnel, teams are going to think you're running the football, so you're going to come in the box. You're going to get a lot of man-to-man. You get a lot of that cover one stuff, and Waller's to be able to get open, and then Foster Moreau can work too. And then you have Edwards and Ruggs outside. I mean, you have a lot of options that you can work with out of 12 personnel, and so you don't need that many wide receivers if you
So
there's not that much
yes,
to fill in. Okay, go ahead.
I like where you're going with that. That was my initial thought, and we're going to
Okay.
find out. Guys are going on IR. We know Morrow's going on partial season IR at least, or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Javin White. He might go. He's going to go on a partial season. Like some people are going to get tagged, and that's going to free up some roster spots. So looking at the tight ends right now, Nick Bowers, Foster Moreau, Darren Waller. Okay. If they bring back Derek Carrier, who was kind of a surprise cut because he's been like the third tight end for a while, and he's a core special teams player. If they bring back Derek Carrier after those initial, IR designations instead of a wide receiver, then yes, 100%. That just means they're going to be leading the NFL in 12 personnel, because Darren Waller is effectively a wide receiver. So that's your sixth or your one wide receiver. And the rest of the guys are the rest of the round out the six.
Yeah. I mean, don't get it twisted. I think Darren Waller plays tight end though. I think he lines up at Y the most. So he lines up in line the most at the end of the day. So he is a tight end. So I think when they keep their 5 wide receivers and they play the 12, I think that's what they really want to do. I mean, not 5 wide receivers, but that's why they kept 5. I think that's what they want to do, because in my opinion, we're going to get to tackle in a second, but if they don't scramble and get some of these tackles that are around right now, that are extreme upgrades for what they have at swing tackle, that's where they need to focus on these IR. If I don't care about Derek Carrier right now. Let's go get some tackles and try to figure that out and work that out, in my opinion.
So hold on. Foster Moreau, I'm probably dragging this on longer than it needs to be. But say Foster Moreau comes back,
so it's good.
Say Foster Moreau comes back. Okay. Yeah. Foster Moreau, he's like in the lineup a lot. They're in 12 personnel a lot. Who's between Foster Moreau and Darren Waller, who's gonna be in line? Right? There's your inline. There's your inline tight end is Foster Moreau, and Darren Waller can now play X on the backside. You know, he can go over, like, he can motion across. You can move him anywhere out of 12 personnel and have it operate as if it were 11 personnel. Yeah. And now make that defense think, okay, well, there's a tight end, Foster Moreau. He's like actually playing tight end, but then you got another guy who's like a tight end. Is he wide receiver? Like, what is he? Do you put, 3 linebackers on the field?
Yeah.
Against that, like that. But there's your inline tight end. Foster Moreau is going to play the inline, and I mean, if they only have 5 wide receivers, that means Darren Waller is going to be like the starting X in 21 personnel.
Yeah, Darren Waller's about to eat this year, basically, guys.
Right.
But I mean, they also, I mean, they'll do it when they're on both sides. So he's going to mix it out with the 12 personnel. It's not always going to be Waller. He's going to, I mean, they're going to be next to each other doing some routes,
right?
Doing four verts next to each other. It's going to be a lot of 4 verts in the red zone. We're going to see a lot of touchdowns from those two. I think that's going to be the red zone.
You heard it here first, Raider Nation.
In my opinion.
You heard it here first. Marcus says lots of touchdowns. All right, so let's move on. Tackles.
Okay. Are we skipping running back? Or are we gonna?
Oh, running backs. Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
All right, so let's get to running back. We got Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs, and Jalen Richard. So only 3 running backs. And Richard sneaks on. I don't know if he's going to hit IR because of the injury. I don't know how serious it is. So it was interesting that he made the team. So there could be that one more spot that we're talking about, or these spots that are about to come up could come to another running back.
So you did say, was it last episode or maybe the episode before?
Yeah.
You did say these guys aren't going to beat out Richard, even though they have some special things happening. Okay. Mm-hmm. But, the running backs who stick around on the practice squad, they will get activated, whoever it is, at some point. Okay. Running backs get activated. Guys go down. Josh Jacobs, not that he has an injury history per se, that sounds bad. I mean, that it's a fact.
Yeah.
But there's a good chance that he doesn't play the full 16 game schedule, in which case you bring a guy up from the practice squad. So whoever it is, Regis, Emmons, some of these guys is going to get activated at some point.
Yeah.
Or even sooner, because you're saying Richard has an injury.
Yeah, and Richard has an injury, so there's still a chance that one of these guys could, even come on this practice squad already, and get boosted up and maybe suit up for week 1 or week 2 if they have that opportunity. It depends on what exactly John Gruden wants to do. What's his game plan for that week? Because he might only come in there with 2 running backs and maybe mix Alec Ingold in there. I don't know. So I mean, because Alec Ingold's always a factor as a running back as well for what he wants to do. So if Trey Regis does have a chance to do that, because I think it would be him, right? I mean, I think they should keep Emmons on the practice squad just for the reason, like, if just say Josh Jacobs does go down, I think you could bring Emmons up and maybe see what he can do. I really feel like behind a really good offensive line, I think he might be all right, and mixing in with Drake and things like that. So I think they should keep Emmons on the practice squad. Same with Regis. Just I think those are 2 solid backs that you could just develop and build on, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, undrafted running backs is like the easiest thing to like build on.
Right. Keep them around.
Yeah, you can hit on those dudes, man. If you can find it, right?
For sure.
All right, so now let's go to the tackle position. All right,
we only kept 3.
Only kept 3 tackles. This is what I'm talking about. That this needs to be the spot where they're going everywhere for. All right, because we only got Alex Leatherwood, Colton Miller, and Brandon Parker. I know Denzel Good can play tackle, but we don't want Denzel Good playing tackle. All right, we want him playing guard. That's his position. I know he could swing and do it, but when he hit the Patriots game, he didn't play very well. So we need him to be playing guard, right? All right, so they got to go get something, man. I know they believe in Brandon Parker, and maybe that's what they do. Maybe that's what it is. I know Brandon Parker had a good game against Denver last year. He didn't play very well against Atlanta, right? I mean, he played okay. He played okay against the Chargers, so maybe that's how you feel like they feel like that he is the swing tackle. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he's a Tom Cable favorite too. I mean, he does have those like 35-inch arms, and he's the perfect fit. Maybe they still feel like he's developing into what they want him to be. So maybe they might not even look for another tackle, which I really hope it's not something that happens, but it could be because they might be really high on Brandon Parker, especially after how they feel like he came in and played last year. But I still think they got to look at somebody like Tyrell Crosby's out there. Like
Yeah.
nobody's really picked him up. That is a perfect person
So
to
here's
put
my
in.
thing. These
Yeah,
players, many of them are going to go through waivers. Not everyone's like an unrestricted free agent, right?
yeah,
And the difference between like a running back, like running backs, no offense to running backs, but like an undrafted rookie free agent, guy who gets cut on final cut down day, these guys are like a dime a dozen. Okay.
yeah, mhm,
Um, you could go to Bishop Sycamore and get a running back. Okay. Like he's probably eligible to play in the NFL. That's just a joke that's on Twitter right now. So
yeah,
the other thing, but about tackle though, like they're gonna go through waivers and tackles. These are harder to find.
yeah,
Okay, so they're probably gonna have to be at least competing in or getting the right waiver number and order to grab a tackle.
yeah,
So I'm sure it's something that they're gonna consider. But if they don't, it's not because they didn't try. It's just like someone with a higher waiver priority got it, perhaps.
yeah,
So I bet, yeah, like tackles are hard to come by. Guys who are 6'6" or taller, who can mirror defensive ends, backwards. Like this is not a natural thing. So these guys are rare. Guys who can actually get it done in the NFL are rare. So I do think that anyone that is like a caliber enough to like potentially be a starter, every team is going to be looking at that player on the waiver wire. You know,
yeah. I'm trying to see if Tyrell Crosby is released or waived, but it doesn't matter. But because that makes a big difference. Because if he's just released, then I mean he's open.
but then everyone's got to compete with the market then.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
true. I don't know. I just feel like he's the type of swing tackle that you want to bring in because I feel like if somebody goes down, the world's not over.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I guess I mean Brandon Parker played all right last year. I'm not gonna be so down on him. He played like a halfway decent swing tackle last year. I mean, he came in, he did his job. He actually had a really good game against Denver. So maybe he might be taking a development step in his development. I don't think he didn't have a bad preseason. He had some pretty good moments this preseason. So maybe I
Trust
don't know.
Tom
Maybe he's
Cable,
getting better.
bro. Are you a fan? Trust Tom Cable. Like, come on.
Yeah,
What kind of fan are you? You don't trust Tom Cable?
man. I think the fans feel me about Brandon Parker. Okay, I think they feel me about that.
They're on your side.
They're worried. They're a little worried too about Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
It's obviously he's not like irreplaceable. Okay, like
Yeah,
you could probably get a better tackle than Brandon Parker, but he's not starting. So we'll see if that's something that goes in mind, or it could be if they do try to get a guy on waivers. The number one most important thing would be, can you play right and left? There's no point in having like a really good left tackle or a really good right tackle starting caliber, because if you can't play both sides, then what if you get Tyrell Crosby? He can only play one side, and then the other side goes down, and that's what you're needing to play. There's no point in that. So having a guy with versatility, some of these like backup spots that made the final 53, final 52, because they haven't announced Denzel Perryman yet.
mhm.
Those guys, having the versatility, I think that's kind of a common theme that we're going to get into here.
Yeah.
Let's jump to guards. Only 3 guards, and your guys, all 3 of your guys.
Yeah. Incognito, Good, and Simpson. So there's no shockers there. That's not shocking.
Anyone get cut that was like notable here?
No, I think that whole backup line deserved to be cut. So
Lester Cotton got cut.
yeah, all of them. I think all of them. They all deserved it. I think having 3 guards is all right though.
3 guards is fine. 3 guards is fine, yeah, for sure. And then the 2 centers.
Because Nick Martin could play guard too.
Nick Martin can play guard. I was just about to say. Nick Martin, Andre James. Are you surprised that Morrissey, their draft pick, got waived waived?
I wasn't surprised that he got waived. I think he's probably going to be I think he'd be a practice squad guy because I don't think he played bad. I just think, he just played average. It's pretty average. He's just out there. He didn't play bad or play good. So I think I don't know how you want to weigh that in preseason, right? So if he's not like dominant, I mean, he's probably not going to make the team as a seventh round pick, right? But if he's just kind of average, maybe guy that you probably feel like you can develop into something, yeah, you keep him around, keep him on the practice squad, see what you can do. But that's probably
Yeah.
that's what I would say with him.
Did they already have Nick Martin when they drafted Nick, Morrissey, this Morrissey guy?
Yeah, they did.
Interesting. I guess they liked
Mhm.
him a lot.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, yeah, I did hear good things about him. All right, so let's jump over to the defensive side of the ball.
Man, I guess you should show Alec Ingold some love. I guess fullback Alec Ingold mid team.
We
Shout
talked
out.
about him with backs, didn't we?
Yeah, I didn't say the fullback. You got to show love to the fullback position. You know what I mean? All right. Anyways,
Athlete recruited to Wisconsin as an athlete. Okay, he played quarterback in high school. He's not your normal. He's not your normal fullback. All right. Some people though, I had to set some people straight. They were like, Alec Ingles the best fullback in the NFL, and I was like, okay, first of all, there's a guy named Juszczyk from San Francisco. Okay. Who's like a freak of nature. All right. Alec Ingles not on that level. Relax. But he's solid, I guess.
Yeah.
I've never been impressed. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've never been impressed with Alec Ingold's like lead blocking.
Uh, it's okay. It's okay. It's hit or miss.
Hit or
It's
miss.
hit or miss. I think he has ability as a wide receiver. It's just, I mean, last year, sometimes with his hands, he just didn't catch the football. But he has the ability to get open. Like he can get open deep on people.
He
You
can
know what I
wiggle
mean?
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, he got some wiggle to him.
Yeah.
So I think he could be used as a weapon in the passing game a little bit more, to be honest.
Hey TDO fans, after a bunch of requests, we finally dropped our Tape Don't Lie store with sizes from extra small to 4X. Get one for every member of the family. Show your friends you're a football tape junkie like us and rep your favorite film channel. Link is in the description below. We appreciate you, Raider Nation. Holla at you.
All right, so now we're moving on to the defensive side of the ball. It didn't seem like any like real surprises from the defensive ends. We can do those first, right?
Yeah,
They got 5, right?
5, yeah. Yeah, you got Crosby, Farrell, Kuntz, Nassib, and Yannick.
Yeah, I didn't even have to look at that to know that those were going to be the guys that they kept. Kuntz had easily the worst preseason out of any of those guys.
Yeah.
Really struggled, I would say, but that's going to happen. You know, you're a young player. They're going to run right at you on the edge. And that's not going to be his role. His role is going to be coming in 3rd and 13. Okay. Give one of these guys a blow and just peel your ears back and get after the quarterback. That's going to be his job. So I'm fine with him being the 5th guy on the roster. And I do think that being 6'2", 250 pounds, more of the size of a linebacker, I do think that there's some special teams projection there. Okay. You know, like a guy who, like Clelin Ferrell, who's like pushing 270 at this point, you know, Max Crosby, you know, like you want him to be your star. These guys aren't going to be playing. Like Carl Nassib is 6'7". Okay. You're not going to see anyone 6'7" running down, covering punts or kicks or something, you know, like there's not enough, like the body type just doesn't work for open field tackling or, you know, like, but Kuntz 6'2", 250, you might see him on, like, you know, punt or something like that as one of the guys in there playing next to the center. So I think that's another reason too.
Okay. All right. So I'm hoping for some big years from Max and Yannick coming off the edge. Then it's gonna be interesting what we see from what Farrell and Nassib do. I think they can fill in and do the job a little bit too. You know, be that good rotation, I believe.
Nassib was solid last year. Like when I was doing like the scout, like the charting, okay, yeah, it was like Max Crosby made the most impact rushing the passer. Clelin Ferrell made the most impact playing the run, but Nassib was just like solid on both ends. You know, like he was a better run defender than Max Crosby was last year, and he was a better pass rusher than Clelin Ferrell was last year. So he's just like a solid defensive end. You know, guys, especially at his height and weight, you know, those guys don't grow on trees. So you could do worse than Carl Nassib type in the NFL for sure. Definitely, hopefully he's not a starter at any point, but to come in as a rotational edge rusher, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. I'm good with that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to defensive tackle here. We got Hankins, Jefferson, McCoy, Phylon, and Thomas.
4.
Oh, yeah. It looks like we got 4.
Hankins, Jefferson, McCoy, Phylon, Thomas. 5. Okay, 5.
Yeah.
Yes. So Phylon definitely made the team. It was obvious in preseason. He was a bowling ball made out of knives. Obviously McCoy is going to make the team. Like, Thomas is Hankins, underrated Raider. Love Hankins. Okay, he's a beast. Like, you'll never be a guy who's like getting like 4 sacks in a season or something like that. Like, that would probably be like the ceiling. The best year rushing the passer.
Yeah.
But like, he will lead the team, the defensive line, at least in run stops for sure. And he's going to play less than half the snaps. Okay. Like, he's such a beast against the run. I love watching that guy play because it's just like the incredible combination of just like brute strength and size and like great technique, very underrated player because he doesn't get the sacks. People tend to sleep on, or like, casual fans tend to sleep on those kinds of players, but I love Hankins. But I also think that Solomon Thomas gives them an option now against heavy run teams where you can put him kind of almost anywhere along the defensive line, and he's really stout against the run too.
Yeah.
I've seen him play as a nose guard in the nickel front. I've seen him play, some 3 technique, or if there's base, he could play that big end 5 technique that Cleveland Furrow will probably get the first crack at, but Solomon Thomas could also do that. So he can play almost every position on the defensive line and stop the run. So I think you got some run stoppers with McCoy and Phylon. You got some pass rushers. There we go. And Jefferson, probably more like a do-it-all kind of guy.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, it got some depth there, man. It doesn't look like a bad group. I mean, you just look at the group. It doesn't look like
that's a legit defensive tackle group right there.
I mean, there's no bums here. I mean, I guess the
no bums
guy would say Solomon Thomas, but I mean, Solomon Thomas plays the run well. He's just, I mean, when you draft a guy top 5, you just want him to be a great pass rusher too.
But the Raiders didn't draft him top 5, so it doesn't matter. Okay, he can be a situational player. That's fine.
All right.
So linebacker. This is where it starts to get interesting, I would say.
All right, so you got Corey Littleton, Divine Diablo, Nick Kwiatkowski, Nicholas Morrow, Tanner Muse, and Javin White.
That's 7 linebackers.
Yeah.
That's a boatload of linebackers. Okay.
6.
6 linebackers? Okay.
Yeah, 6.
It's still that's still a hefty amount when there's only 2 on the field at a time in nickel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what all that means is, I'm thinking 7 because Denzel Perryman hasn't been announced yet, and this is a 52-man roster. There isn't a 53rd person, so most beat writers are saying Perryman, that's going to be the guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's Morrow and Javin White. They're going to go on some kind of list. If it's PUP or IR or partial season IR, one of these guys is going to go on an exempt list that gives the Raiders a couple roster spots back, right? So that's 2 roster openings then that are going to happen, and maybe that means one of those they use on a tackle, or maybe Derek Carrier, or maybe something else. But so we'll see about that. And then because Kwiatkowski is the only inside linebacker there left on the active roster, the rest of these guys are outside linebackers.
Yeah.
Corey Littleton, Tanner Muse, Divine Diablo. Divine Diablo, he had a rough game, I would say, taking on blockers. He cannot play inside middle linebacker. You got to be able to take on blockers doing that. So that's why Perryman is there, because Kwiatkowski, he's another guy. He gets banged up a lot. He already got banged up. So you need someone like Perryman to at least play Mike for you in a pinch. So but definitely two of those guys, Morrow and Javin White, they're going to go on some kind of list, and we might not see them for a long time or the whole season. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they brought in all these new linebackers. Nicholas Morrow, started to take the reins, and then he ended up getting hurt, and now we're right back to Corey Littleton and Nick Kwiatkowski. So that's probably going to be the two linebackers playing the most on week one. I mean, they're probably going to be, the same lineup that we expected last year. We're going to be seeing from the linebacker, and they're both, highly paid guys. They brought them in to make plays, and I think it's time that maybe we see something, and maybe if Kwiatkowski can be healthy, he can look like he kind of looked week one against the Panthers, and then kind of solidify the position. And hopefully Corey Littleton looks like Corey Littleton back in 2019. That's what we're all hoping for, right? So
yeah,
if we're right back there, and if those guys can come in there and solidify the position, I think they can, maybe when Morrow comes back, it's not as big as a blow, and they can still just rotate those three guys. But it's interesting that we're right back to last year with those two. The two guys could start week one. Is two guys started week one in 2020. So
new scheme though, so we probably see some different results.
Yeah,
something's got to give.
Exactly, but I'm not saying that it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's just interesting. I just thought it's interesting that we're back to that point because they brought in all these new linebackers to kind of, because Kwiatkowski, he's injured, and now he gets a shot again, right? So let's see.
I think that outside of Kwiatkowski, like Morrow had a great year, honestly. Like if we're being like I'm not saying that because I'm like a Raiders fan. Okay, he had a great year, but Kwiatkowski had a really solid year. He's not like bad just because Morrow is good. Like I don't think it's going to be like that much of a drop off. It might not be like as much of an impact, but he's not going to be like out there like messing up or something like that. He'll be fine.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so let's go on to safeties. Okay, some surprises. Okay, I know that Raiders fans seem to be a little upset because Karl Joseph got cut. Look, when I first got on Twitter, okay, I didn't even show my face. I had a Karl Joseph picture as my little profile pic. Okay, so I'm a big Karl Joseph fan. All right, but to be a backup safety, making over $1 million when if everything goes right, you're not even going to see the field except for special teams. I think that the Raiders just kind of thought, you know what, we could probably, save a little money and bring along some of these young guys, So it's Abram and Moehrig, or Merrig, I should say, as the starters. And then Tyree Gillespie, which he was a draft pick, so shouldn't be surprising. But then now the surprise is Roderick Teamer makes the final roster as a safety. Teamer, I was told by my producer before the show started. Marcus Johnson is a producer, by the way, of this show. That Roderick Teamer actually, and I wasn't even aware of this. Roderick Teamer played for Gus Bradley already with the Chargers. So he had a leg up on a lot of these guys because he already knew the scheme. I think he might have been on injury reserve or something like that last year. And then there were some plays this preseason where he kind of showed up. So he definitely didn't have a bad preseason. But I think the kicker here, okay, when you got Karl Joseph, he's a box safety only, right? And I think you want some guys who are your backup safeties to be able to play either spots. And Roderick Teamer did play in the post as a free safety exclusively this last week. So I think that that's something that they looked at. Tyree Gillespie has also played deep in the post in college. He was a free safety. So there's some position flexibility now with the backups that, perhaps one of these guys could play either spot. And I think that that's kind of what made the determination as well for the safety position.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Teamer's the big surprise. I guess he was the one that started the fight, the special teams fight. So maybe he's a dog on special teams, and maybe that's kind of how he snuck on this team. we didn't have the special teams all 22. You might have saw this coming, BD, if you were watching the special.
If I had, man, I gotta,
you might have been able to see this ahead of time, because I think that's how he made the team. I think that he outplayed Down 11 on special teams, and I think he's younger and he's probably faster. He probably moves a little better,
bigger, and he's faster. Yeah, for sure.
And he plays a little better, right? He outplayed him in preseason too. So
yeah,
he plays prep special teams, and he outplayed Down 11, right? So
Roderick Teamer started the special teams fight, huh?
Yeah, that's the one that started the special teams fight.
Where else are you gonna get this information? Raider Nation. Look at this. Look at my producer is telling me right now. Roderick Teamer, in fact, was the one who started the special teams fight. Look, yeah, like you're saying, he's probably a dog. He's probably crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, like that's what you want on special teams, especially because if the season goes right, Roderick Teamer is not coming out on first through third down. He's only coming out on the field on fourth down, and to field some, kickoffs or something like that. So if the season goes right, yes, that's what this spot is all about. If the season goes right, Carl Joseph, is he a special teams player? Right?
Yeah.
Like that's why they cut him. He's not a special teams player. And honestly, if that was going to be his role, who knows? Maybe Carl Joseph asked to be released. Who knows? Because I'm sure he doesn't want to just play special teams.
Yeah.
So yeah, special teams, that's how you make the team, especially at the safety, these linebackers. We talked about some of the linebackers, but I didn't talk about their spot on special teams. I mean, Tanner Muse is going to be on special teams. Devon Diablo is going to be on special teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you make this team. Sure.
All right, so let's get to corner, and then I got a question for you after on the back end.
All right. Cool.
All right. So we get to corner. We got Damon Arnett, Casey Hayward, Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Mullen, Keyshawn Nixon, and Amik Robertson. Amik Robertson.
Seven corners. Did I count that right? Arnett, Hayward, Hobbs, Mullen, Nixon, Robertson. 6 corners. Okay, my count has been off this entire time. People are gonna be like, "Wow, BD can't count."
I know.
Okay, so Nixon, I'm hearing from a couple people. People are DMing me that Nixon is injured. Did you ever hear about that?
He is injured, yes.
Okay, so goes to show I never checked the team website, honestly. I'm too busy grinding tape, okay? I don't know anything about these guys except when their number and if they can play well. That's why I need a great producer like you to do this. But so Nixon is hurt. So there's a good chance that he goes straight to PUP list or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And with Nevin Lawson kind of waiting in the wings, also he's on the suspended exemption list. They got some guys here that I think can play some special teams, can be gunners on kick. We'll see if Hobbs does something like that. Mm-hmm. We'll see if Amik Robertson continues to develop. I saw some better special teams reps on the broadcast from Amik Robertson, but I don't have the special teams all 22, so I can't confirm if he actually has improved.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we knew Arnett was going to do. He was a first round pick last year. Mullen, he's been their best corner. Hayward, high profile corner. Yeah. We knew those guys were going to make it. The back of the roster is a lot about, playing situational football and playing special teams. The surprise, I guess, for some people was Isaiah Johnson.
Yeah.
Getting cut. And he just had a bad game, like straight up. Like he came back from injury.
Yeah, he looked awful.
Probably the worst he's ever looked in the NFL this last year. Learning a new scheme. I always talked about how he struggled in zone, and I think that there was definitely some glimpses of that in this last game.
Yeah.
But I think that there's gonna be a little bit of the single high cover one teams that get into cover two where their asset corners to just reroute and play the short stuff. Okay. Colts, Vikings are teams that like to do that a lot. There could be some competition for Isaiah Johnson because the talent is all the way up there. It's just not great, consistent technique and fundamentals of football. So he's still a project.
Yeah.
And he's always hurt. So there's that too.
That's true. That is true. All right. So we got all these corners, right? I don't think Keyshawn Nixon's that hurt though. I don't know if he's going to go on. I think we're assuming a lot of these guys are going to go on IR that are hurt, but like we don't know the severity of their injuries because Gruden, like I said, the KGB Raiders, so they really don't tell us too much right now. I mean, we don't know how the severity of any of these injuries, so we don't know who's going on IR. I mean, this is kind of
okay. Yeah. So all these guys that I said could go on IR. I'm just spitballing here. Someone is though. We know someone is.
Someone is, but I think like Keyshawn Nixon I don't think his injury is that serious. Because I don't think he's going on IR. I think he just might be injured. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that is.
I honestly don't know. People were just like he's hurt, and I'm like, oh okay.
No, because that's I mean, all the beat writers are saying it too. All the beat writers are saying that this guy's going on IR. Every single body that's hurt is going on IR. So there's gonna be like 8 spots open, and I don't know if that's gonna be even the expectation there, right? Because I mean, we're going to find out the severity of these injuries pretty soon because they're going to have to. They can't be a college football team anymore, or whatever they're trying to be. Right. So now they got to let us know. But I think Nixon just made this team. He made the team for sure, but I don't think he's going to be out long enough for like they're going to be able to like bring somebody else in and like put him away. You know what I mean? So I think this is the quarterback group. I think this is it.
Yeah. Nixon was taking reps before like Rasul Douglas was, and before Amik Robertson got in the game. I think that they do like him, even if Raider Nation hates him. Okay, I'm a fan of Keyshawn Nixon though. They all know and they hate it. They hate that I'm a Keyshawn Nixon fan, but I don't care. Look, I can appreciate great gunner play. Okay.
You appreciate a great gunner, bro. It's just
I can. I really can.
Yeah.
So, anything else? Anything else?
I just have an interesting question for you. I just think keeping 4 safeties and how many linebackers we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 linebackers. Interesting.
7 if you can. Denzel Perriman.
Right. Okay. Right. I got a question. Do you think they'll play some more like? Could you see them? This is crazy. Using like Diablo and Muse as depth for safety. Like this is just I'm just.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I do not see that. Okay. I think that closer to what is more likely though is that Corey Littleton has almost like a strong safety skill set. Okay. So playing lots of base when you have a weak side linebacker who is, closer to a strong safety than he is a linebacker, if we're being completely honest about Corey Littleton. Okay.
Yeah.
I think gives you more flexibility to be in more base looks, more than at least they have been in the past. And, that might be one of the reasons why they have so many linebackers right now is because they're anticipating being in a lot of base, and they have been in a lot of base all preseason. Okay. So, I think that is something to consider. And who knows, we'll see. There's a lot of teams playing like the money ball approach. Browns are one of them. Titans are another one where it's like all these teams have all these DBs and no actual real linebackers on their roster, and we can just run the ball down their throat all game. So there might be some anticipation that Broncos might be, a heavy run team and they got to, play in the division, or some teams on their schedule might be heavy run teams and they're having to, are anticipating being in a lot of base early on in the year. So that might be a reason too.
Maybe. Yeah, good point. All right. We just showed Nick Bowers any love, man. Sneaker on this team beating Derek Carrier. I don't think we just show him that too much.
Yeah, we just talked about Derek Carrier. So Nick Bowers, say something before we sign off. Talk about Nick Bowers.
Really quick. I should have known that he was gonna make the team because he ran a choice lookie route on Sunday.
You should have known right when you saw that. Yep.
When I saw the running back go out to the left, right? I'm like, yep. Is this 372X? Is this the lookie? And he ran that choice route, bro, and scored a touchdown. He made the right read on it. I was like,
That's it.
I should have known he was to make that team.
Shout out Nick Bowers. Marcus is officially a Nick Bowers fan. Okay.
Yeah.
He can appreciate great choice lookie routes.
Yeah, I appreciate the guy who makes the right. He made it. We read it perfectly for Peterman. Shook the guy a little bit, give a little out route, broke a tackle, touchdown. He made that team on that play. I think
there you go.
John was like, you know what? I might go 13 all year. No.
That was a great play.
All right.
All right. Shout out to all the Raider Nation who have tuned in, who keep on tuning in and supporting us. We really appreciate you guys. Each and every week coming and watching the Tape Don't Lie, listening to the Tape Don't Lie. You can find it anywhere you can find your podcasts. So we really appreciate that. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter. My name is BD Williams. I am BD Williams 18 on Twitter. I'm the defense guy. You can follow Marcus at DMarkJohnNFL. Make sure you get at us. Make sure you visit our gear shop, buy a shirt. Make sure you go to Manscaped and enter TDO promo code and keep on supporting the show. That's it, Raider Nation. We out.
Peace.